journey of Mountain Echo started 10 years ago when Her Majesty the Queen Mother of Bhutan, Gyalum Dorji Wangmo, visited an international film festival or an outside film festival and got together with like-minded literary figures and decided wouldn't it be a wonderful idea to have it in Bhutan as well. So since then it has been a most exciting, wonderful, fun-filled, knowledge-filled journey. It's called The Hidden Rainbow. It's been a journey of about 3 years for me. I took almost 2.5 years to 2 years to write this book. It's an adult coloring book, but it's filled with text on my idea. So what I'm terming as spiritual fiction. So this is a journey of my take on Buddhist iconography and rearranging it to formulate my own stories and bring to light a little bit of my own limited knowledge on the Dharma. So I hope everyone will find, as I say in the book, not just the interest to, on the face of it, color it, but also to delve deeper and to find meaning and inspiration in what has given me my own inspiration to bring the artwork to you. So it's a book of healing, color to heal. I am reading several books really. I just finished reading because it was my homework and turned out to be really exciting reads. Swapna Liddle's 14 Walks in Delhi. That was quite nice because it brought... I feel like when I walked around Humayun's tomb, I just didn't know what I was looking at after reading that book. So now I'm going to go back and walk around Humayun's tomb again just to find out. But I also read Parimal Bhattacharya's No Path in Darjeeling is Straight Memoirs of a Hill Station. I loved that. That was really a nice book. I went to school in Darjeeling, and that also was a wonderful, even though it's just simple memoirs and he just happened to be over there. He told me so many things that I really didn't see when I was there, so I'm going to have to go back to Darjeeling and experience it all over again. The other book that I have been reading on and off from time to time is one of my favorites, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. I really love that because I'm an avid biker, but not just that, it's got a lot of spiritual content in it.
I'm reading The Twice Born by Aatish Taseer. It's exploring a lot of the themes that I'm currently thinking about.
Reading, at least in our world, it's not a very popular book. It's quite obscure because I wanted to read. I was desperate for some crime fiction, but not straight up crime fiction. I wanted a weird crime fiction, So I came across this book through some search called Repo Shark by Cody Goodfellow, and so it's a film. It's a novel written in a dialect. So it's like I could finish 3 pages where I'm finishing only 1, and it's written in this very curious Boston dialect, and it's set in Hawaii about this guy who's a repo man. He's come to collect debts. He's a debt collector, and unwittingly gets into a cult. So I mean, having a lot of fun doing it.
Right now, what I'm reading is there's a book called Ganga, The Many Paths of the River, by Sudipta Sen, who also interviewed me. Who had a conversation with me at this event today.
I grew up reading Salman Rushdie and so that's what happened. I studied when I was 14. I chanced upon Shame, and it was I think that book really changed my relationship with my brothers. I grew up in a joint family with 4 brothers and I was a real bully. But when I read that book, it was you have to read the book actually, I won't say. But I grew up reading a lot of Rushdie and heavy literature. I never really read bestsellers. Not that there's anything wrong with it. But I like slightly, I like magic. Surrealism, I like fantasy. Otherwise, I read really strict non-fiction, which is about the world and, which can really depress you. But that's also fine.
Well, I mean, all of what Richa has said, I have read, but later in life. When I was a kid, I started with comic books and then graduated to Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew and Famous Five and the works. But I remember when I was 12 years old, I was sitting, we had guests over and I was sitting with this friend of mine, this boy. And I remember Sidney Sheldon's Windmills of the Gods, I think it was. It was kept on the shelf, and we were talking about, we were 12 or 13. I said, this has some racy, steamy scenes. I said, but your dad must not be allowing you to read it. I said, no, my dad's very cool. He allows me to read it. So I said, prove it. So I went into the living room and I said, Papa, can I read this? And Dad was like, he wanted to, in front of his friends, wanted to prove that he's cool. I said, beta, why, you can read it. And then we went inside. I was thrilled because I was validated, but outside there was a debate going on whether I should be allowed to read it or not. But read it I did. So that I lost interest in reading children's fiction when I started reading Sidney Sheldon. Yeah, and when I went for my lit course, when I was being interviewed for that, then my teacher asked me, what do you read? And I very proudly said Sidney Sheldon and Irving Wallace. I had no idea that I was making a complete fool of myself, but yeah, I did.
I recommend that you read Yuval Noah Harari's books. Right now, I'm reading Homo Deus.
I think everybody should read Everybody Loves a Good Drought by P. Sainath.
What I do recommend is that what you read at the age of 18, please read it at the age of 45. I think good books, they grow with you. Like, I have reread many books. For example, Anna Karenina, Leo Tolstoy's wonderful novel, Anna Karenina, about war and love and history. I read it when I was in college. I read it again when I was a father. And it's a completely different book. So my recommendation always is, when you read a book and you like it, remember that book is there for you to come back to.
So this is a spiritual book, not religious really. I don't want anybody to read it like a religious book, but I had a really bad injury once and I had a surgery and I was on a wheelchair for 3 months, and I read the autobiography of a yogi, and it really pulled me through in a very real sense. So now I just gift copies to people because it really worked magic in my life. And I read it also over and over again. And as I learned later, Steve Jobs also did the same book. Crazy.
The Avengers for me were really exciting because they were different from DC's Justice League. There was a great period within the Avengers when all the big heroes had left. So Thor left the Avengers, Iron Man left the Avengers, Giant Man and the Wasp left the Avengers, and they just left poor Captain America, who had just come out of suspended animation since the war, and he's just left on his own. They have to recruit new members, and they recruit Hawkeye, the Archer, Quicksilver, fastest man alive, and the Scarlet Witch, and they all hate each other. It's so good because none of them have great powers, particularly, and they're it was a brave thing to do. They stopped being Earth's mightiest heroes and became kind of the lamest ones they had. But it was really great reading, great stories.